Let's see. Aha, yes, we are live. Well, hello everyone and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. We have an action-packed night show for you tonight. Lots of stuff going on. We have Lady G, of course, over to this side. It's all opposite. And then down under, quite literally, we have Dr. Lena.
And speaking of down under, this was the first year World Pride has been held in the Southern Hemisphere.
Wow.
This was the first year World Pride.
Is that round? We've got some background going on there.
Does somebody have a phone or a microphone open for something else?
Let me see. Let me just make sure that I don't have any of the pages open. Let me see. Let me just make sure that I don't have any
It's on something of yours is replaying, a recording
of
yours.
I don't have, let me just say, I'm closing windows.
It's replaying, a recording of yours.
What is going on?
There we go. No.
Well, I don't have anything on my phone. Do you guys have anything open?
No, it's your voice. It's one of your shows.
In the background. No.
It's your voice.
What is going on? Has it stopped?
It stopped.
Yeah.
I think
it's
we've got it.
I think what it was, I had YouTube open on another tab on this computer, and it must have started going live there. Anyway, right, without further ado, so just so you know, guys, we're going to be, of course, covering you know, the usual topics and stuff in America, but we're going very international tonight. We're going to be taking flights to Nigeria, well, not flights, but we're going to be going to Nigeria. We're going to be talking Russian economy, a bit of Belarus and stuff like that. But and we're going to do one card pulls as well, because many of you left questions as well. So it's going to be a combination of one card pulls. We'll have Shakespeare's opinion on Jared and Ivanka, which I'm sure all of you will look forward to. But tonight I wanted to start. Now I will have to go back into my notes because I did actually close them, but here we are. I want to start with Kamala Harris tonight. Kamala Harris. Why?
Yeah.
Now, we're having a very, with a little bit of astro weather, we're having a lot of astrological weather at the moment. You may have seen Western and Vedic astrologers, we're all clucking at the moment because there's a lot of action going on in the heavens. Now, cast your minds back, folks. And do you remember me saying maybe Kamala's going to come into some kind of career change or something like that? Right. On the 13th of March, 2023, transiting Mars is going to enter sidereal Gemini. This is very important because at between 0 degrees and 1 degree is Kamala Harris's natal Mars and her ascendant, Xi Jinping's sun in his chart, and the Mars of the USA chart are all going to be hit at exactly the same time. Now, what I put here, what I've asked is, this is the question, will Kamala set up a kind of war crimes tribunal for Russia in around March, April? And is this going to be, maybe this kind of career change that I'm seeing? Because, you know, she announced recently Russia's committed war crimes. What I'm asking is she going to be part of the legalese, maybe setting up an international body to charge Russia? How about that?
Well, let's kick off. That's epic.
Yeah, I
saw that statement she made. So let's have a look.
Look at that. I don't have my cards ready. Typical. I've got
Kamala Harris and Russian war crime.
And while the ladies are shuffling, Lady G is working on her own tarot deck as well. So
yes, and they look divine.
No, it's not tarot. It's Lenormand.
Pardon, Lenormand.
Pardon, you. It's Lenormand.
So there'll be
No,
more.
I'm not that, putting together tarot. That's way too much for me at the moment. But the Lenormand, yes, I have been putting that together.
Perfect. And you'll tell us, of course, when it's ready to go.
Yeah, it's pretty much ready. I will be getting decks this next week. They will all be here.
Wonderful.
Oh, shall I go?
Go for it.
Okay, I decided to use the Russian cards for obvious reasons.
Ooh.
So it's sort of the spread is sort of all about Putin rather than Kamala Harris here mainly. But okay, it's hard to see on my crappy little camera. But this is the Nine of Cups. But in this deck, they're like donuts spilling out. This is what's happening for Putin. Everything that he had that was comfortable, and because he's phenomenally wealthy, etc., is just falling away. Totally. Now, unfinished business here. I think Kamala Harris may be talking with others. See, this is on the deck of a ship going different places. I think she's definitely talking about it. This next card is also indicating that. But I don't think my political brain kicks in here on top of that. And I don't see America leading the charge. It's too provocative in world terms. So it'll be a round table. And I think America will be part of this round table, which is the thing. How's Putin feeling? Well, I'm glad you asked. He's totally rooted. He is so
Is that a nude body there?
You know, he can. How's his psychology? Well, yes, that's all I'll say. A man on a pinnacle of a cliff with the sun beating down, nowhere to escape is what this card's about. There's nowhere for him to run, nowhere to hide. So I think it's going to be multinational.
Wow, fascinating. Lady G, what do you have?
Well, we have going into it, we have justice,
Wow.
some bad health for him, the fly in the ointment, so to speak. Could be the fly on the wall. And so this is kind of a nightmare scenario for him going into it. We have the privileged lady, which I think would be Kamala, because she's kind of the star in this. And yes, she's kind of the star. And she's coming out with some new things, new messages when it comes to Pootie Boy. We've got the false person, and they have got the information that's on him doing the investigation, and he is facing losses. And last but not least, we have the mature man. They're looking at his buying, selling drama, coming up with some new actions, and that is going to open the door to what they're investigating with Pootie.
Fascinating. And someone, Deb O, was just asking, what is the question being asked? So I'll repeat it again. As you know, I tend to repeat it several times. What we're asking is, will Kamala Harris effectively lead a kind of a tribunal or some kind of legalese in regards to potentially prosecuting Russia for war crimes? So what cards do I get? Look here. I get the Nine of Pentacles. So here we are. So again, this can represent Kamala Harris. As we know, she's vice president. She's powerful. She's independent. Yeah. So we can see how the cards are tuning in. The next card I get here is Strength. So if this is a thing, and I can't imagine that she's not discussed it, or it's not being discussed behind closed doors, because it seemed that was very much the showpiece of that convention, where she stood up We know she's a lawyer. She's got that background, like a lot of lawmakers are, and she talked about the war crimes. So in a sense, what I anticipate is that maybe she facilitates that in some kind of way. However, I think she has to keep her cards close to her chest. And I think, like the ladies were alluding to, because it is still quite a controversial and bombastic subject, even though we know these war crimes have happened. But when we look here, when I look at the energy of Kamala, it looks like she's prospecting. Like if you see here, 3 of Wands, this is about making plans, waiting for ships to come in, stuff like that. So maybe she might be looking for things that might be a little bit beyond her conventional brief now, because once a lawyer, always a lawyer, I think. And I suspect, my instinct, this is just my opinion, she might be slightly underoccupied in the vice presidency, but that's just my opinion. But look here, she gets the star card. Yeah. So there's some kind of breakthrough. This is like blessings from heaven after struggles and stuff like that. So I just feel like there's some new kind of role coming for her. I know I keep saying it. And when I pulled another card as a clarifier, I get the 3 of Cups, which is celebration. So maybe I'm out on a limb on this one, but I do.
Maybe not though, Hogarth, because as Sharon says, the USA is not a member of the International Criminal Court and can't pursue crimes against humanity. That's right. It has to go through The Hague and all of that. So you may be right. She might say to herself, I'm sick of it. Would not be a good time to be in the upper echelons of American politics. You know how ugly it is. And she might think, you know what, I'll just apply myself to in this other direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have a feeling. I
hope you're right. I
Yeah,
hope you're right.
I just
because
feel like she wants to get her teeth stuck into it. She can obviously still be vice president, but if she's got this project as it, that's too trivial. This is a really important thing. I could see the pursuit of justice in that regard being very appealing for her. Let's just put it that way. But that's my feeling. We'll have to see what the planets bring. But I just thought that was worth a mention. Right. Let's move on to anything else to add to that, ladies, before we move on. Right. You're good. Perfect. All right. Now, question number 2. China's 12-point peace plan. Yeah, which has been floated. So I've written here, Ukraine allegedly not really willing to go along with it. The Belarusian leader Lukashenko will visit China soon. So just before we get to the question, you remember I said that for Xi Jinping, remember in March, when Mars transit's going to activate his chart as well. So we see China's involvement here already. So question is, will China help end the Ukraine war? Or will the problems become expanded by Jupiter in later April? Yeah, because Jupiter's going to move into Aries, the sign of war. And Poonam Bola asked a similar question. So will China help end the Ukraine war, or will the problems become expanded? Let's ask. Thank you to everyone who's joining us this evening. Wonderful to see you here. Let's see. Will China be able to end the Ukraine war? Or will it escalate?
That's an interesting comment. Tennis Mad says this is Putin negotiating by the back door.
Yeah, could well be. Because he has to save face in some sort of way, doesn't he? And I would prefer he hid under Xi Jinping's apron, rather. Do you know what I mean? Rather than going extreme the other way.
Well, it's better than China adding militarily to the conflict. Better to be going through the motions.
All right, who's ready to go?
Well, I can if you like. So the card of theft, this is Russia trying to steal Ukraine. and people talking about what to do about it, you know, because now it's in everybody's interest to bring this to some sort of closure. And Zelensky has been playing hardball, and I can't say I blame him. You know, he's not going to settle for some mealy mouth thing that lets Russia have huge territory back or anything. So the conversations with China are going on. They're bringing something to the table, China, that's a bit of a surprise for those who are observing this. Here we have the stinky fish. Thank you, Hogarth.
I'm there with you.
Yeah, there we go. But they're going to come up with something that is a bit different, because they're going to prioritize things that are different from a Western mindset. They are going to bring something else to the table because they have got that historic past with Russia. But moving towards some sort of justice here, and the strength card. So I think Xi Jinping is trying to show his people, because everything's going so badly at home, if you can't have a war yourself, the next best thing is to be seen as an international player of significance. So he's invested in this. I don't necessarily think this first incarnation's going to get up of a peace plan, but he's much more invested than I sort of thought, I think, from these cards. A lot's riding on it for him.
Yeah. Lady G, what do you have for us?
Well, in the center, I think this time this is Mother Russia. Sometimes it's my America, but a few of the hidden things that are happening with it, wanting to maybe try to find a way to temper. So going into it, we have things kind of hung up when it comes to the dark things and trying to juggle it. So I think this is kind of a bit of a power struggle between Xi Jinping and Russia, because here we have, again, the wanting to have a strong action to come in a place of strength. And we have two narcissists at the table. With, you know, good luck with that. Because we see, that they're looking at the harvest. What am I going to get out of it? And both of them want to be king man in this and move it forward rapidly. And last but not least, they're looking at the very long-term benefit. Is there a benefit for me? The buying and the selling of it. And so that's what's being worked on.
Gosh. It's just fascinating, isn't it? What comes out in the cards. I've got some very dramatic cards here, and they get more dramatic as they go along. So my first card, here we are, Page of Cups, which as we all know, I nicknamed Stinky Fish. Yeah, but so look, we're going to have some messages coming out from China, but we may not necessarily like what comes out of their mouth as things transpire. So there might be something icky going along. If we look here, technically in the obstacle position, we have got the Knight of Wands, which is all about charging forward, passion, etc., and stuff like that. But it's turned up in the obstacle, so it's almost like, look, this war has kind of been dragging on a bit longer, isn't it? Than we had all hoped. Let's hope that is not the case. I would rather hope that if we didn't look at it as the obstacle position, this could be Xi Jinping coming in, much like the lady's saying, trying to look good, because we know things back home in China are a bit, So if you're seen on the international stage as upward, virile, and going out there and doing this stuff, that can be a good look. But look, there is an element here of nostalgia between Russia and China. I think they see each other as family in a funny way. Yeah. Yes. I remember learning something very important before I visited Russia. I visited Russia in 2008. But the point is this: all the guidebooks that I read said this. It said Russians may look European, but don't be superficial in that perception, because actually, culturally, you know, Russia is actually a lot closer to Asia. So this card suggests it's what? Family, the past, nostalgia, you know, both were communist countries, etc. And anyway, there's that. But look who comes up next. The devil. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in regards to China's and Russia's motives, I mean, this card doesn't need much explaining, especially when you get the next card, it's the High Priestess. There is a lot going on, folks, behind the scenes. Tremendous machinations. I pulled 3 clarifiers. I got the Queen of Swords. Yeah. So there's some legalese. But look, the devil comes out again. And with the 7 of Cups, illusions and delusions, I think there are some spells being cast here. I think China going in, well, we hope it brings an end to the war, but there's so much more subtext going on. There's a lot more going on than just peace. Anything else to add to that, ladies?
No.
No? All good. All right. So, we are going at significant pace. All right. Next one is about the Russian economy. Yeah.
Back to the Russian cards. Here we go.
So what have I got here? So the update is economists say that the Russian economy is toast, yet the Russian people seem upbeat, according to an international survey practitioners. I forget what they're called, but they survey the whole world. They've surveyed 98% of the world's population, and they've been in Russia for years. So, and there's also an alleged report that Putin wishes to take over Belarus. I mean, that wouldn't shock me. But what I want to ask is, and we can do a 1-card pull on this each, where is the Russian economy really going? How about that? Do a
1-card pull, yeah.
Because we've got a lot of other questions to get in. Russian economy, what's really going on according to the cards? Whenever you're ready, ladies.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Ooh.
Oh, the death card.
Well, you're just a little more
Doesn't look
drastic.
well, and you've got the 4 of Swords.
Wow. Yeah. You know, what would you like to elaborate on that, Lena, in terms of how you interpret the death card for the economy?
Okay, I think it's death by 1,000 cuts. We tend to forget about the sanctions. So Russians were staring at empty shelves prior to the invasion, right? The everyday Russians. Also, that's one thing. The second thing is the oligarchs are not happy. You can't make billions of dollars in an unstable thing. Normally wars are good for those who are on the inside, etc. No, you know. So, and they're a pariah state. So I think it's very dire. I don't know who they're interviewing in that particular thing, but certainly nothing I've been reading talks about happy Russians, you know, like really. So I don't see how they can recover actually from it.
Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, mine's very similar. Everything is retreating, you know. Maybe it's not as fast as what Lena is showing there, but yeah, the economy's going down and the people are going to start feeling it. They're just not going to have as much as what they were having.
Yeah. Well, the way I interpret my card, and we've got over 1,000 with us now. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And hello to everyone who might be joining us on a Sunday or in the subsequent days. So thanks so much for supporting us here on the channel. Now, look, happy endings, la. It's all good. It's all good. Do you know what I feel this could be? Could this be the propaganda machine? Could this be the propaganda machine? You two have got the reality part, and it seems like maybe I've got the delusional part, where everyone's like, well, everything's fine. However, what I will say is because so many international companies have left, they're saying that the domestic, there's a renaissance happening with Russian traditional food and stuff like that. Remember, I always interpret the cards Four of Wands as their fourth house, which deals with what mother, security, homeland, stuff like that. So I think there is this element where they are facing the sanctions, as both of your cards show, but there is an internal thing going on where they've had to rely on themselves. And I think there are quite a lot of Russians that are still in the country that feel proud, more proud of their traditions and their stuff. And so maybe that is reflecting that element there.
Yes. And there's a real generational schism going on too. So the older Russians, they're used to deprivation. That is how they've lived so much of their lives, and they will handle it to the end. But the young ones, because also all the hundreds of thousands of young men and middle-aged men who have left to avoid conscription, I was reading recently where it's leading to the greatest brain drain from Russia in 3 generations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then when you pulled that card, I immediately got the only one that's doing well is Putin with all his money.
Well, yeah.
Wow.
And Pam says McDonald's has been converted to Uncle Vanya. So I think what you... and that's what you're picking up on, Hoagie. I think there would be a lot of on this. People are innovative in very stressful circumstances.
Yeah.
This is not a popular war, and the economy can't
indeed
get back.
And I think they're just being forced by the situation. Like you said, look, people adapt. So there will be, when you're under pressure and there's less on offer, you know, tradition does become a comfort, and they will have to innovate because so many buildings have left. So yeah, I think that's what that card was picking up on. Just in case anyone was wondering if I'm drinking neat scotch here, I am not. This is cinnamon and green tea and all of this kind of stuff. So
oh, how wholesome. Yum, yum.
Oh yeah, and it's lovely. All right, so we're going to jump in our aeroplane again, folks. But this time we're going to Nigeria. Yeah, Nigeria. As you know, we love to change it up here on the show. Now, forgive me as I just give, I'm going to quickly read through my notes just to give context. But essentially, Nigeria is going through a huge vote at the moment. It's the national elections, high stakes. The vote has happened after much delay, and the counting is now underway, and they're expecting delays. So just to give a little bit of context. So the votes are being counted. Tightest presidential election since 1999, when military rule ended. 87 million people are eligible to vote in this election. 87 million. Big delays in voting due to logistical errors and armed gangs interfering, shooting people, stealing boxes. You've got the outlier who's Peter Obi, and he's popular with the young, and some are hoping that he's going to win, and he's the Labour. Then you've got PDP, which is Atiku Abubakar, 76 years old, and he is represents the Muslim North mainly. And then you've got APC, who are currently in power, and they've overseen a period of economic hardship, inflation, and insecurity. So Bola Tinubu is seen as the godfather of politics. So what I want to ask is, will the new leader be able to solve Nigeria's problems? And as you shuffle, I will read what some of those things are. So the lead up to the polls was overshadowed by cash shortage. This is reading from what's printed. Cash shortage caused by a botched attempt to redesign the currency, leading to widespread chaos at banks and cash machines as desperate people sought to access their money. So the new notes were introduced in order to tackle inflation. Yeah, so that's a big thing. Vote buying as well. And on the eve of the election, a member of the House of Representatives was arrested with almost $500,000 in cash and a list of people he was supposed to give it to, police say. So they say the economy is crumbling, high youth unemployment, and widespread insecurity, which saw 10,000 people killed last year. My goodness. So will the new leader be able to solve Nigeria's problems? Who's ready to go? Oh gosh.
All right. Well, I've got a great deal of confusion on the ground, and I don't think it's just political confusion. Which party would I vote for? It's more threatening than that in a way. It's like, what are the risks associated with not voting in a particular way, and so forth. So there's tension in the confusion is what I'm struggling to say. What people think they want to do is not always easy on the ground, I guess. Okay, so Nigeria itself is at a crossroads. It's a massive country. It's potentially a hugely wealthy country.
Mm.
It's at a crossroads. Can it vote for a non-corrupt government is the challenge. There are those who are working on it, who I think is who you were describing, the opposition. They're really working on it, and I think they've got good intentions with this. But I'm going to leave that card there because it applies to both sides of the fence. The ones who are trying to build their voting base are promising a new day. There is also, I suspect, some problem with the judiciary here. I don't see this as altogether positive legal stuff. So I think, because this card to me is the hinge card for this reading, in other words, everyone's promising the people this, right?
Yeah.
Vote for me and you'll get this, the jobs and the money. Vote for me and you'll get the jobs and that, right? But I think the existing, whoever's in power now, will bring out the big stick and will manage to win. I'm just
Interesting.
Love to be wrong. Love to see someone new.
Yeah, and that Ace of Pentacles can also speak about big money as well, sometimes corruption or even fool's gold, isn't it, in the shadows?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I thought it was so important to relate all the cards to it.
Lady G, what do you have for us?
Well, at the center of it, we have the one coming into power, and we're facing sort of nightmares. And then the takeaway, as much as they can take away with things, maybe trying to get away with things. Above it, we have the contracting with the public, with the communities, and this is going to be a very difficult struggle that they've got ahead. And the foundation is, ruling there and then trying to get benefit for, again, the public and being able to work together. So it's a view of them trying to be able to solidify everything working together instead of, gnashing heads. But it's going to be a difficult thing. They're really going to have to use a lot of strength and struggle to get through this.
Yeah, I've got similar themes playing out in my cards. So first card out, look at this, the moon. Yeah, so immediately, really, tying in with the cards that you've got, ladies, we can see not everything is obvious what's going on. There is so much accusations of corruption and stuff already. Who is not tainted by corruption in politics these days, let alone Nigeria? Do you know what I mean? So, very, very interesting. And someone said in the comments that Leo Perido said I took a 23andMe test and I've got Nigerian in me. So Who knows?
Yeah.
We don't know what your main thing is, but that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
When we've got here in the obstacle position, we've got justice. So look, we see here, look, machinations in regards to justice. I hope this doesn't mean that there's going to be cheating, yeah, and ballot box stuffing and all that kind of stuff. But justice next to the moon in the opposition position could potentially indicate that. However, we do have the sun come out, so maybe there is going to be a bit more clarity.
Yeah, look, Nigeria is a really vibrant country. You know, it's got so much going for it, you know?
Yeah. And a very young population as well. A big percentage of the population is under 35. I can't remember.
I think that you'll find there's a big percentage under 15 as well.
Really?
So coming behind the youth vote now is the balloon demographic, you know, of young people coming through. So if they can get on top of this electoral corruption. But I'd just like to make a quick point here. Sorry, no, you're still going, Hogarth. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll just if I may, I'll just finish this a bit. So if we look here, I think what they're looking for is a kind and benevolent leader. Yeah, it's just
fair enough.
Simple as, really, isn't it? We don't have to explain it that much. Who's going to bring what? Balance, restore balance, stuff like that to the economy. So what I get the sense is the youth, because if we look, let's always remember as well, the sun is represented here by a child.
Yes.
So I think this is the optimism of the youth that they can finally elect a benevolent leader who's going to bring balance.
Oh, I love that.
But yeah. But carry on, Lena. You were saying you were giving us.
Oh, you know, bossy old mole that I am. I was just going to say, what used to distinguish third world countries from first world countries, hate the term, there we go, was in the West after the Second World War, there were suddenly all these big governments, and both opposition parties and ruling parties got together on 20 and 30-year plans on education, health, energy, and so forth. No matter who got in, those moved forward. And that's what moved the UK, Australia, Canada, you know, forward, was that ability to do that. With third world countries, it tends to be winner takes all, and the opposition is either jailed, shot, or not allowed any say. What's happened in America? They've gone down that route when the parties cannot work together. We know why, and it's not the Dems' fault. But this leads to a degeneration of a country. That's my point. Whereas conversely, if Nigeria and other African countries in particular can learn to work together with a healthy media, a healthy judiciary, a healthy opposition, the world's theirs.
Yeah, huge, isn't it? Huge potential in Africa.
I did pull 3 more cards. I wanted to see what type of man is coming in, and it says it's a mature man that is of the faith, and so that's who's coming in.
Oh, and it's a karmic thing.
Yeah, so let's hope it's right.
I love that.
Yeah.
But could it be the guy who's from the north? He's
representing the Muslim North.
Yeah, maybe that could be him.
Yeah,
maybe that could be
possible.
him. Very interesting. And I think he's one of the elder ones as well at 76. So could be picking up on something there. Okay, so we're going back in the aeroplane and we're returning back to America, and this time we are talking about the two not so lovebirds, Ivanka and Jared. He was recently,
funny already.
I know, isn't it? Because, you know, for me, they're such a funny couple, you know, the body language between the two, I just don't know. I just feel like it's Barbie and Ken, but less exciting. And there's a stiffness there, isn't there? an alliance, yet a stiffness. Do you know what I mean?
It's weird you should say that. I just read on them on my channel yesterday or whenever it was. And on my news feed, because they're in the news at the moment, Phil, like 6, 7 pictures came up of them and they never look at each other. You look at any pictures of Ivanka and Jared, there's nothing going on. There's no connection. And you've picked up on it too.
Yeah, it's just this kind of it's almost like it's neutered or sterile in some way. I mean, obviously it could just be sheer terror, because of the amount of trouble that they're in, but we'll have to see. So I put it's Ivanka and Jared subpoena. So what's the potential outcome for them? Oh, and I've put a note to myself here. Mention that I said Ivanka would choose her husband over daddy. Yeah. Way back, I did videos where I said she'll choose her husband, and I put that Jared would get the best lawyers money can buy. So it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get convicted, because he's obviously got the Saudi billions and whatever else from his little campaigns. But what does this mean? What does this subpoena mean for Ivanka and Jared? And then we'll ask Shakespeare.
Oh, good. While we're shuffling, Wildlight says, the Dems are also taking lobbying bribes in the USA, and corporations control the country, not the people. We, the people, are being gaslit by corporate toxicity. Thank you, Wildlight. I think that's exactly what's going on.
Very good point. The whole world, actually, I would add to that. And that point actually segues into the end of the show, where I just want to introduce, we've discussed about it, but we're going to have a little debate bit, just the last 5 minutes of the show, on a very pertinent topic which dovetails with what's been said there. All right. Ivanka and Jared. Oh my God. Barbie and Ken with lobotomies.
What's happening with Barbie and Ken?
Well, I'm ready to go.
Go, Lady G.
Well, as far as what they've been working on, their toil and labor, we had the little fly on the wall that's been looking at what they've been involved in, their dark money schemes. We have an official person that's going to make it tough for them, and they are feeling tied up, beleaguered mentally. Where are we going to go? As far as their journey forward, the little message is about what Daddy Dearest and all the little things they were involved in for their merchant class while they were in the White House. The community is looking at them in a very deep way into the darker things that they were victorious about for a short time. And so now this is causing them some very bad health, some obstructions, a very tall mountain they're not going to be able to climb when it comes to the investigations. So not looking good for Ja-Vanka.
Ja-Vanka. Ja-Vanka. Lena, what do you have?
I've got a few pentacles going on, but this is them. They're on board the unstable ship as we speak. They've got to work out, and they probably have worked out, how to operate together. We were just saying there's not natural affinity between them. But this is juggling that and trying to work out, we've got to keep the party line, in our testimony, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not organic. I think this is putting their legal defense together, is my feeling on this Eight of Pentacles, bit by bit, trying to minimize the damage is what I'm trying to say, because these two cards to me are related to each other. So it's like evaluating where they're going from here and what their defense is going to be. The Sun. So I think light will be shone for sure on their doings, but it's also, I think, a fairly positive card for them, much as I hate to say it. Oh, they'll probably emerge from this. But it's thanks to their legals, is my feeling.
Yeah. Interesting cards here for me as well. So first card, straight up, look what we got, 5 of Wands. So even though the both of them, when they're in public, they look like they've just stepped out of a refrigerator together. I think at home, I think it's a lot more spicy. Yeah, there's a lot of machinations
or frosty when they go back in the fridge.
Potentially. I mean, to me, they almost look like they're cryogenically cloned. I mean, if you just move Ivanka's hair onto Jared, they would look like
and away you go.
You know what I mean? But it's very unusual. But it's not. They're presenting they're doing the swan job, aren't they? All kind of like we're pristine, and the feet are going like the clappers underneath. So there we are. Ivanka's worried about the money. Yeah, here we are. This is Ivanka coming through straight off. She's like, oh God. Yeah, because we know the Queen of Pentacles, it talks about stability, home, family, but it's turned up in the obstacle position. Look how she's looking at that coin. Ivanka's like, oh gosh, will I be able to afford Louboutins in the future if the worst should happen? Yeah. Next card that comes out, 4 of Cups. They're not liking the options available. I mean, it's quite obvious, isn't it? Because they've already spoken quite a lot to the Jan 6th committee. So it's not like they can just reel it back in and play a turn. So they're feeling a bit awkward. They are having to look at the legacy of their harvest. There we are. Who got this? Who got 7 of Pentacles as well? All right. Yeah. So here, this card is very much pondering, reflecting, looking at the seed sown, looking at the yield. Is it a spoiled harvest or is it a good one? You know, it depends. But look who turns up. Daddy.
Hi, Daddy.
Daddy's here. Yeah. So it's like, oh dear. So we can see Ivanka and Jared are worried about, Duck Laurent. So I pulled some clarifiers. And look, Daddy's back again. He still has such an influence. 4 of Pentacles. They're going to have to try and play their cards close to their chest, although they've already let rip with a lot of stuff already. And again, I think this is Ivanka again, Queen of Wands, the entrepreneurial businesswoman. I think it's all going to anchor a lot on what she has to say. Anything else to add to that, ladies, before we move on?
No. Are we moving? We're doing some 1-card pulls.
Yep. Now we're going. Oh, let's see what. See what
Shakespeare
thinks about Ivanka. Did you call them Ja-Vanka?
Ja-Vanka, yes.
All right. Let's see. And I think it's your turn, Lady Chi, this week to get Shakespeare's opinion on Ja-Vanka. So you just. Oh, 1 minute. Try and get this right. You just tell me where to stop.
Stop.
Let's see. Oh, actually, so let's see. I have to flip to the next page. Oh, this is really interesting. Okay, this has come from Henry VI, Part 2. It said, "Hide not thy poison, hide not thy poison with such sugared words."
There you go.
Doesn't that just?
Ooh, it's so creepy. It's so shocking.
It's just. Isn't that interesting? Because they've been subpoenaed, they have to speak, and then the bard said, "Hide not thy poison with such sugared words." And then on the next page it says this from Macbeth. It said, "If thou speakest false, upon the next tree shalt thou hang alive till famine cling thee." So I think this is a real direct warning almost from the bard, where he's saying, don't you dare lie. If you lie, you're going to be in a pickle, because it says, "Hide not thy poison with such sugared words." And then, "If thou speakest false, upon the next tree thou shalt hang alive till famine cling thee." Oh,
That's hardcore. Let's face it.
Hardcore, the bar. He's like, don't even try lying. He's just like, don't even try lying. Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, go Jack
Ridiculous.
Smith.
Oh, indeed.
Cosmic Goat Lady here says Jared used the 2 billion. You know, we all know he got the 2 billion from the Saudis or other Middle Eastern despots to pay off his bills, and the money's gone. And I think you're right, Cosmic Goat Lady, because he had, I think, 2.5 billion in debt coming on stream now.
The money's gone?
Well, this is being suggested in the comments, and I actually think so, because his debt to external bodies was so massive. I know it was more than 2 billion.
My goodness. Well, that's a strong motive, isn't it? If that turns out to be the case, it's a strong motive to maybe sell some trade secrets.
But how can these people not be able to meet their grocery bills? He has over 30,000 tenants, 30,000 in one complex. That's not his whole real estate portfolio. That's not his commercial real estate. That's not his New York. This is just New Jersey. He has 30,000 tenants paying rent to him every week. And he's being hauled over the coals for slumlording now. People have raw sewage coming out of their sinks, maggots in the carpets.
Oh, just gross.
He's a true slumlord. So how can you have all those assets and still not have enough money in your world?
Something strange is going on. Something strange. Okay, so we're going to do a cluster of 1-card pulls, and then we'll see if we can get a bit of Tucker Carlson in, and then maybe finish on a more a topic of debate to kind of end the show. So I'm going to go straight in. So Anne Simpson has asked, she said, hi Hogarth, with the recent cyclone, this was in the comments where I asked people to leave questions. Hi Hogarth, with the recent cyclone and crazy rains in New Zealand this summer and the horrible deaths and destruction that came along with them, I wasn't aware of this. Is this a permanent weather pattern shift or a fluke? I'm just keen to have some summer sunshine and happiness again. It's so dire here. Oh, bless you.
Kia ora, dog. Blessings.
All right, let's get a fellow Antipodean.
Yes, as soon as you said cyclone, I thought Australia and New Zealand.
Wow.
Americans have hurricanes, we have cyclones.
Indeed, in the southern hemisphere. So
is this a permanent shift in weather for New Zealand?
Yes. All right, after 3, are we all ready? All right, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, 2 suns.
Interesting.
78 cards in a tarot deck, 2 suns. That's impressive, guys. Lucky I didn't get one, or people they all fiddle.
Exactly. So what do we feel, Lena? How do you interpret your card?
Well, walking away. So hopefully it's walking away from this being permanent, I hope. Particularly in light of looking at your sons there.
Yeah. I'm blessed.
What do you guys think about your sons?
Yeah.
Hopefully this is better times rather than the global warming, but I'm leaning toward more the global warming stuff still powering it up.
Yeah, that's a good point actually when I think of it, because this is what? Heat, isn't it? So
yeah.
On an optimistic, what I can say is it looks like next summer will probably be a hot one. Yeah. But could it be too much heat? It as we know, it's truth, it's illumination. We know all about the climate change and stuff now. But this does speak as well of heat as well, doesn't it? Quite literally. So let's hope we get a hot summer, but I think this is also talking about global warming. Yeah. It's too much of a coincidence.
You'd have to think so with both of you getting it.
Yep.
Yeah. But let's hope next summer is better. But thanks so much for your question, Anne. Right, Ruth Goldberg, another 1-card pull. This is a good one. You know, it did make me think. The foreperson of the grand jury which presided over the Jan 6th cases went on national TV and discussed the unreleased decisions. What impact will her indiscretion have on any indictments? Oh, bloody
I
hell.
don't know how that was allowed to happen. And not once. You couldn't turn on anything and not see it.
I'm going to pull with this deck, what's it called? I can't remember what it's called. Manzel's Tarot 2. Oh dear. What effect will this have on the indictment? So let me just pull one here. All right. After 3. 1. Oh, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. What have I got?
Oh, what do we got?
Oh, I've got 10 of Pentacles.
Oh, lots of different ones going on.
Yeah, quite broad. How do you interpret your card then, Lena?
Well, this is her, I think, obviously, going out and speaking her truth as the Knight of Wands here. But in this card, traditionally, the horse is being held back a bit. And I'm sure if we drew more cards, this would be a problem. She thinks she's going out, telling the truth. And she is. It's not that she's lying or fudging. You just, honey, zip it. Pull the horse in, rein the horse in.
Rein it in.
But I don't see it as a dire disaster, but she needs to rein it in, like completely shut up.
Yeah.
Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, it's kind of like she's out there selling the emotional stuff of it, but they've said, what she said is not illegal, what she's been doing, although it doesn't look so well.
Yeah.
But she's getting the attention. This is emotionally fulfilling for her to be able to have this attention and put that out there.
And there's ego attached to this card too.
Exactly. I know something that you don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's what's coming through when we look at all 3 cards together, isn't it? There's a bit of attitude here. She's got the 10 of Pentacles, which has come up, and the 10 of Pentacles can often be about legacies, long enduring legacies and stuff like that. Big institutions and stuff like that, and it's almost like well, I made a name for myself, kind of energy to it. I mean, it is also representing, I hope this means the institution will hold up, but sometimes it can mean dirty laundry and gossip, so there's almost like a little bit
not liking it.
So washing laundry in public. So I think there's a bit of ego behind it. Let's hope it's not damaged things too much, but I don't think it's completely altruistic. I think that's fair to say. Right, one more card pull before we and we're going to be talking about cucumbers. Now, so this is coming from Brenda C. Hello, Hogarth. I hope you're good. Can you answer a question regarding food shortages in the UK? We have no cucumbers.
No cucumbers.
And what about that minister who said let them eat turnips? Or was that a joke? I don't know.
Guys, let me just tell you, in the UK, as you know, I've really not said that much about the UK. You know why? Because it's rubbish. Yeah. Like I've said, this Tory government just needs to be abolished, and we just need to just clean the slate and try again. So in response to food shortages, Theresa Coffey, who said to people who are already working 3 jobs, just work more hours so you can buy food. Yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah, just work more.
How can they have high tea without cucumbers?
That's right. Good question.
Exactly, the cucumber sandwiches. So she's recently said, well, look, you know what, maybe we should eat seasonally, which, is quite a fair argument.
Look, exactly, but not the time to chat about it.
Not the time when the actual shelves are empty. So she said we should all eat turnips. And to be fair to her, I mean, I don't want to be too, but let's just say No, she's a bit of a turnip herself. Let's just put it that way. So let's just pull one card on this and see with this debacle that is going on in the UK and see what the cards have to say.
So what's our question?
What's the situation, the energy around food shortages in the UK? God, madness.
Food shortages in the UK.
Eat turnips. And we've got a shortage on tomatoes as well, by the way.
No.
Yeah.
And that's what I have every day. You know, I have my little veggie thing with cucumbers and tomatoes.
Oh, no, you'd have to leave the country.
What would I do? Oh, my God.
Oh, are we ready?
Yes.
After 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yes. Lena, how do you interpret your card?
Well, no one's got a clue what to do about it. That would be no clue. This is people arguing in circles because they have no answer.
Yeah, yeah. Lady G, your card?
Well, I think the families can pull together and make it through this. You know, look at the rainbow, look at the promises, look at the better things rather than focusing on, but we have no cucumbers for high tea.
And my card here, I just think represents the whole situation of Britain right now.
Yeah.
Post-Brexit. This is the card of what? Being wounded in battle. Yeah, being wounded in battle, having to reflect, go back, meditate. The light coming through the window is shining on this near corpse-like person here. In many ways, this is also representing the UK economy, which out of the G20 is the only one that has shrunk, even compared to Russia. Can you believe it? So it's not working.
It's not working, pet. And you need a solution.
Absolutely, and we need a major solution. But there you are, basically UK economy down the toilet. And I'll let you know how the food shortages go from my end, guys. So when you know what, I stored up some food from last year because obviously I knew this was coming, the advantage of being an astrologer. So I'm all right for a while. I've got enough pasta from now until here, maybe to the middle of next year. But do you know what I mean? We will have to see. As you can imagine, look what's happened. The hour's gone. I think we're gonna have to repackage some of what we were going to talk about this evening for next week, because if we get into the other subjects, they're not quick enough to they're too in depth. So I think let's call it a day there. I think that was a riot. That time, of course, went in an absolute flash. I think what the bard had to say, let's just read once more, because
yes, for Ja-Vanka.
For Ja-Vanka, hide not thy poison with such sugared words. And then the next page, if thou speakest false, upon the next tree shalt thou hang alive till famine cling thee. Oh, don't lie, Ja-Vanka. If you do
No, don't lie. The bard will know.
The bard will know. So
and we had no troll this time. We had nice, smooth sailing.
Oh, bless.
It was lovely.
Lovely. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for, of course, tuning in as we sacrificed our time here. But it's so much fun working with you both. So, Lady G, thank you. And Dr. Lena, thank you. I'm sure you're going to get some breakfast in as well, because it is your Sunday morning after all.
Yes, that's right.
Indeed. And anyone who's joining us following this on Sunday, happy Sunday. Hope you're having a nice coffee and everything like that. And I hope you've enjoyed the content. We will be back next week with another action-packed show. But I think we really went round the globe this time, didn't we?
Yes,
we really,
good on you for bringing up Nigeria particularly. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. I thought it was an important one to look at. So we will see you next week. A pleasure as always. Thanks again for the donations, the comments, which is a whole life of its own, as you guys know. And we will see you next week. Thanks so much.
And a comment, may the bard be with you, is a comment.
May the bard with you. That was just perfect. Shivers. All right. Until next week, folks.
See you
soon.
then.
Bye-bye.